G'day YouTubers, Uncle Dave with DEECEE's Adventures coming back at you with another review video. I'm going to consider this a review. I know I just got this in the mail, but this is the replacement for the SK-5 that I broke the tip off of originally. This is the Blackbird SK-5 Noir. It's their powder coated knife, and it's a powder-coated version of the SK-5 Blackbird. And when they covered the knife on warranty, they didn't have any of the Blackbirds in stock, and it was going to be 2 or 3 months, so they offered to send me this, and I was interested in seeing how this powder coat is and what the difference is between the two knives, so I told them to send it to me. So before we get into this review and really take a look at this knife, let's quickly go to the video of how it was sent to me by Ontario Knife Company, because I didn't buy this through a dealer. I got this sent to me on warranty directly from the company. So let's take a look at that box and the packaging real quick. They use pretty good packaging here. Some pretty sweet tape, and looks pretty solid for how small the knife is. Yeah, and they did a really great job. I mean, they have a limited lifetime warranty, and I didn't think breaking the tip off of my knife was going to be covered, but they were pretty good about it. They did kind of question it. They want you to take care of your knife, obviously, a little bit better than I did, but it's cool that they sent this knife out, and this has the powder coating on it that I'm interested in taking a look at, and I think we'll all be interested to see how that performs. That's the Opinel number 8. It's a stainless steel model, Canadian favorite. Alright, so it's full of packing peanuts there. Lots of packing peanuts. Oh man, too many packing peanuts. I see something under there shiny. Yeah. So pretty much all the Ontario knives come in the same box. There it is. And this one came with the black sheath. So it doesn't have the same sheath that I had before, the tan one, which this does match my new endurance pack, so that's pretty sweet. But looks more tactical, which I try to avoid most of the time. And here's the knife. So we'll go back to the review video here and finish looking at this knife, taking a look at what we got here. And I think I'm safe with having doing a full review on this knife, and we'll come back and do a follow-up review and talk about the powder coat and how I like that. But I've worked with the SK-5 now for a year, and I think a follow-up review on this knife is about due. Alright. Let's take a quick look too here at the factory edge that came on this thing. Not bad. Has that secondary bevel. You can feel some catches, but I bet if you ran a strop over this, it would be pretty good. Still a little rough, you can see, but not bad. That secondary edge. Pretty good edge on it. This sheath right here that it comes with, this knife is obviously known for Hedgehog Leatherworks makes one of the nicest sheath that's available on the market for it. But it's 200 and something bucks, and that's just absolutely ridiculous. Plus it weighs like unbelievable, like 5 times what the knife weighs. So I think it's just absolutely ridiculous wearing one of those on your belt. But that's my opinion. Because Paul Schaefer over at Hedgehog Leatherworks actually designed the SK Blackbird for Ontario Knife Company. But the sheath is, when I returned my knife, I made sure that this other knife they sent me was definitely going to come with the same sheath, because I found this sheath is just absolutely awesome. It has, you can put your belt through it right here and high carry it, so it's really high and not sticking out. because when it's, or you can put it on your belt here and low carry it, but when you're low carrying it, the handle sticks out quite a bit and it looks like you have a giant butcher knife or something hanging out your back pocket. So when you're in the city and stuff, it's a little too much. But you just move it up on your belt under the high carry position and your shirt will hide it perfectly. It'll just look like just a little bit of this will stick out, and it'll just look like you have like a multi-tool or something on you. I also like that has this MOLLE here. So I usually put a fire steel in here and have a cord so it's in there where it's not going to come out. It's also got a plastic liner in there, and the plastic liner has felt lining on it too, which is exactly how I like my sheaths. That really, plastic alone will dull your blade, but if you put the fleece or the lining in there, it's not going to dull your blade every single time. And it's fully MOLLE compatible. This whole thing is fully MOLLE compatible, and I have a MOLLE backpack that I like to carry, so this will go on there sometimes when I don't want to have this on my hip. But for the last year, I carried this exact sheath and this knife on my hip every single day for the whole entire year until I broke it and then had to send it back. And you know, I would say that the break of this knife was definitely mostly my fault. So just wanted to take some time right there to talk a little bit about the sheath. So let's go back to the video. Let's talk about the warranty really quick, because they actually don't have a lifetime warranty. They have a limited lifetime warranty against any manufacturer's defects, and really it's pretty surprising they replaced mine, because I might have been a little rough on it. And you know, the knife has a flat grind, the SK-5, which also means it's going to be very thin all the way through the blade consistently. So it's not like other survival knives. You can't do quite as much maybe chisel work and stuff. I know you probably shouldn't be doing chisel work with a small knife like this anyways, but it is a survival knife, so it's, you know, I would think that you're going to be able to knock out chunks when you're carving up wood and trying to build stuff. You need to do a little bit of chiseling here and there. But with a flat grind, it really doesn't have the strength to do stuff like that. So I was really happy that they were willing to replace it for me. And you know, if you go and break your SK-5 in half, it's not guaranteed they're going to replace it, because they're going to ask you questions on how it broke and want to see pictures and stuff like that. So it's really great that they did do it, and you know, they do cover their products, and they want to make sure that people are satisfied with what they have. And I think they had really good service over there at Ontario. Now for this knife here, okay, let's talk about the Blackbird SK-5 in general. And I think this is a great knife. It's as the guys over at DEECEE say, it's a beefy bushcrafter, and that pretty much describes it perfectly. I mean, it can do fine carvings, but it's also a large enough knife that you can do survival tasks. And I mean, it has a finger guard here. You have a really good grip on it. You can get a really good grip on it and a safe grip on it. And if you had to defend yourself against an animal or something with this, a 5-inch blade that wide is going to do a lot of damage. And I still consider this a pretty good knife for any fighting that you might have had to get into. Although it's a survival knife, it's not a fighting knife. Fighting knife should have 2 guards on it. But you can get a good grip on that, and I don't think that knife is going to slip off of your hand when you're using it for something like that. And carving, it does really fine carving. The flat grind just makes no resistance at all. So you can do really fine feather sticks, which I know a lot of guys like to have a knife be able to do some nice feather sticks for fire starting. You can do some fine carving, and you can use this spear tip right here. When you get in, push your thumb while you're carving, and it lets you do a lot of fine work. So those are things I've always loved about the SK-5. Now this SK-5 Blackbird Noir, or means black, that this has a powder coating on it. So that's what the most interesting part of this knife is the powder coating, and what that was going to be like. Because the scales on it is the micarta, just the canvas stuff, and which is great, and I've had that in all kinds of weather. I used my last SK-5 for a whole year out in Maine, in the woods where it's just soaking wet, and that handle definitely had no problems at all. It's a great handle. The knife itself weighs 8.4 ounces, and it has a 5-inch blade, and it's a spear point blade, and like I said before, it's a flat grind. It has a secondary bevel on it a little bit there, and my old knife, it took a little while to get used to sharpening a flat grind, but after 3 or 4 sharpenings, I finally got that secondary bevel to sweep up into a nice convex edge. It just takes a little work, which with this coating on here, it's probably going to take even more work, and you might not want to do that. You might just want to use a work sharp or something to sharpen your knife and keep the edge pretty much how it is on here, so that way you're not sweeping up on your coating and making it look like crap. The coating itself, though, you know, this is what was interesting, is what was the coating going to be like, and this coating is like that Teflon coating, the really slippery stuff. It's not gonna make a lot of resistance when you're trying to maybe have to baton wood or while you're carving. You know, one of the great things about this knife is that it carves so smooth with no resistance from the flat grind, and this is really Teflon-y, so I don't think it's going to give you much resistance. I think it's going to make it pretty slippery, actually, and it's probably not going to affect anything there. So I think the coating looks really great. The only thing that I see with this knife that I don't really care for, and it's actually resulting in me, I'm selling this knife to one of my good friends so he can add it to his kit, and I'm actually going to order my original Blackbird SK-5 with the steel blade. I'm going to order that back from Amazon, and the main reason for that is when they put this powder coating on this blade, one of the best things about the SK-5 is that, oh, I guess this camera is zooming in and out on us, but the spine of this knife has one of the best 90-degree angles I've ever had on a knife, and it really throws sparks. I mean, it throws sparks so well that you get chunks of your ferro rod stuck on the blade, which that just means it's such a great 90-degree angle. And I process a lot of fat wood with that, and I do a lot of, like, when I'm carving stuff, I like to, if you know, you don't have sandpaper, but you can get a pretty good smooth surface on whatever you're carving if you use the 90-degree angle to kind of shave it down. So this knife, because of the coating that came on it, it just made the 90-degree angle on the back slippery and rounded off. And I'm sure you could probably just put that on the grinder, and you'd have a silver strip there after you grind it off. That would be kind of reflective, but the rest of your knife would still would have no reflection to it, which is the point of having the powder coat on for tactical purposes, you know, so you're not giving up your location in the field when you're using your knife. You don't want it flashing all over the place. Well, that's another thing I like about the original knife, is this is supposed to be a survival knife, so I want my knife to flash. I want to be able to use it for signaling, and, you know, people see you working with your knife because it keeps signaling every time you twist it in the sun. That might just save your life someday. So all in all, I like this knife, and we'll see after my buddy uses it for 5 or 6 months. We'll come back here with a follow-up review and talk about the powder coating and how it lasted and how it holds up and how we actually think it performs. But I've already used an SK Blackbird for a whole year now, and I think it's a great survival knife, and obviously you just have to take care of it, and you can't do some of the things you can do with larger survival knives just because of the flat grind. That flat grind just makes it so there's not enough metal behind it to really do prying and stuff like that, which is, you know, you want to be able to do some prying with a survival knife usually. Morris Kohansky says one of his main features in a survival knife is that you can use it as a pry bar. So there it is, the Blackbird SK-5 Noir. Uncle Dave with DEECEE's Adventures, thank you for joining me. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get all the latest uploads, rate, comment, and I'll see y'all in the next video.